Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be driving probably the most notorious road in the United States. We are here at the Dragon, tail of the Dragon, as we're going to be crossing over from Tennessee towards North Carolina, and you can see there's quite the automotive culture around these parts. Now, every time I've done a trip across the United States, people have always said, why don't you come and drive this road? Well, I've never been in exactly the right place, but we're here today with the AMG GT Black Series to drive a stretch that has 318 turns in only 11 miles. Now, it's fairly famous for being a little bit dangerous. As much as 18-wheelers are banned from this stretch now, occasionally you come across one taking up both lanes. You might be familiar with Adam LZ's recent drive here as well. Hopefully we're going to escape unscathed at the other end. What I do know is that this is part of an epic adventure already with the GT Black Series. Let's have a quick chat before we get on the road and go drive Tail of the Dragon. Now, we've set off just yesterday from the Triple F collection up in Ohio, driven all the way down through, of course, Ohio, Kentucky, into Tennessee, had an overnight stop in Knoxville. But the thing, as I mentioned before, that I particularly enjoy about this car is that you can get to a road like this and it's going to be insane to drive it, but you can also take it on a long adventure with all of the stuff you need. It is the ultimate for a journey like this. Some suitcases, some bags, all of the different things, hopefully wedged in a way that they're not going to be flying around while we're driving on this road, because we're going to be heading onwards from here further into Tennessee towards Nashville, then I think the long slog all the way down to Texas. We've got a lot to come in front of us, but one thing, if you've been following the journey of this car, you might have heard me talk about before, but basically I've gone silent on, is to do with the tires. They are getting quite close to the end of their life, but given the car has already driven 1,900 miles here in the United States, I'm amazed that they're actually still completely legal. They still have the wear indicators plus a little bit more tread left, and I'm going to be heading to a track day at COTA, at Circuit of the Americas, in a couple of days' time. So I need to plan this a little bit. I think they're going to be good to get there. If they aren't, then I'll have to change them before. If they are, then I'll probably change them straight after, which would be the logical way to go about it. Probably as we get towards winter as well, to swap them out from the Cup 2Rs to maybe the Cup 2s. We'll see exactly how that's going to go. Anyway, like I said, really cool cars. There was nothing here when we pulled up. There have been tons of bikes blasting past. There has been a GT350 went past a moment ago. This GT3 RS has a very loud exhaust, sounds amazing. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be quite an exciting place to drive. First time that I've been here, and of course, the sun is out, which means the future wear Shmee 150 sunglasses. Yes, our carbon fiber sunglasses with the yellow to match the car. Last few pairs are still available, so check those out as well. But for now, probably enough talking. Let's hop in the car, let's go drive Tail of the Dragon, see what this road is like, and also, crucially, see what the other roads to the other side are like, because I've been told those are possibly even better. Let's go find out. I think this calls for a noisy startup. Into individual mode, hold the paddle, get it started, and crucially, get the AC running, because it's showing 24 degrees Celsius right now. It's certainly very warm, but we have done 7,500 miles in this car now. That's 1,900 miles more than it was when I had it shipped over from the UK, so fairly good innings already. But let's go. Got a few miles from here as we go over the stones, down towards the start of this road, past the GT3 RS, the Supra. I mentioned Adam LZ's recent trip here with Colette because, of course, I suppose you might have seen it was when they had just collected the 992 GT3, they were driving it here, and unfortunately went around a corner, and literally the other side of the corner was a vehicle sitting in their lane to go into one of the pull-offs. And that's the kind of thing that happens here and what you need to watch out for. Now, the scenery at this time of year is unbelievable. It suits this car down to a T. Driving it through these colours in the trees is absolutely wonderful. But we do have a few miles to go ahead of us before we get to the main road. But like I say, I've heard good things about the other roads in the area. It's not just about Tail of the Dragon, although this, if it continues like this, is going to be something totally wonderful. But I've never been here before, and I can't believe I've never been here before. When we drove through last year in the GT500 past this kind of area, it was in February, so it wasn't exactly best suited to this kind of roads considering the weather conditions around here. But we'll warm into this, we'll ease into it, go see what we can find, and crucially, just have an epic time hopefully making it out the other end without anything going disastrously wrong. One thing that I did in advance, and this must be a habit that's come because of driving the GT500 and the Ford GT, was just before we got here, got a full tank of fuel, or gas I should say, out here, to make sure that we're not going to run out before we get to the other end, because I have no idea what it's going to be like. This set of views, though, is going to be the best. Past the lake here, it's a spectacular place to be, and what a car to be driving. I mean, I know I've said this before and it's quite cliche, but right-hand drive here in America, my car from home, my car that I collected in the UK, took out to the Middle East, now here in the US, it still makes no sense to me, even though I've been lucky to do this a few times. And to drive on roads like this, I want to see how it stacks up against some of the European roads. We've spent so much time around Italy, France, Switzerland, driving on some amazing roads. I'm curious to find out how this actually compares to those. A few things that are different about being here in the US, one of which on a road like this is to have the double yellow lines down the middle of the road, which obviously means no overtaking or passing, whereas in Europe you can kind of use the lines to your advantage. I just thought that might have been a petrol station, but no, it's a Harley-Davidson stop. So that's a little bit different. Hey, this would be an overtaking place. I'm led to believe when we actually get to the Dragon that you're kind of stuck behind whoever you're stuck behind for the whole way up. So let's hope that doesn't happen. For the time being though, we're off to a good start. That's a nice blue Corvette C8. This is where we turn away from the lake, I think to the start of the road, because that's the point at which you can't drive trucks any further up from here. And that's basically the end of that. And then we have some signs, oh, there's a sheriff just there, some signs like this, motorcycle high crash area. Covered in stickers, definitely need to be a little bit safe and careful, but this must be the beginning of Tail of the Dragon. I think the road, which used to be a hunting trail, it meanders up through the mountains until about a century ago when it was paved. It got the nickname the Dragon. I think it's only really been called Tail of the Dragon since the start of the 21st century, but here we are. The road makes its way up through the trees. Plenty of pops and bangs. Let's get a little bit in tune with where we are and what we're driving. Tell you what, so far this is beautiful. Tarmac is lovely and smooth, and the way it just flows from one corner into the next. As I've referenced about other roads before, like spaghetti that's been thrown over the mountainside and just landed, in this case, between the trees. Plenty of opportunity then to enjoy the AMG GT Black Series up the road and hopefully not have an 18-wheeler coming the other way. Now, I've watched a documentary before that talked about that talked about big rigs taking the wrong turn, and you go around a corner like this one and then all of a sudden coming the other way is an 18-wheeler blocking both sides of the road, which would be less than ideal. Gosh, this is popping and banging away like crazy. The road goes over on that side, so we just have a hairpin just here. When you're driving roads like this, you can always look at your navigation to see what the layout of the land looks like, which way the tarmac goes. Well, if it goes on like this, I'm not complaining. We're up at presumably a vantage point, kind of at the top. Corvette, Focus ST. Yeah, the views are breathtaking. Hopefully we're going to be able to pass the F-150 at some point, although given the absence of ability to actually overtake when the road goes like this, hopefully he's going to pull over to let us go. One car did before, which was really cool actually. It's very kind of him, so thanks to that guy if you happen to be watching. Anyway, from here on, I just actually can't believe this. This is stunning. This is genuinely, truly stunning. This is the perfect time of year and the perfect day to be here. Warm temperatures, beautiful setup. Look, hey, that's really kind. He's pulled over as well. And being right-hand drive, I can say thank you. Cool. Unleashed. Look at this. Look at the way it goes back and forth. And this car just feels so good driving up here. Comfortable. I mean, it's a GT after all. It's got that in the name. But very, very direct. Very pinpoint sharp. Super fast shifts. Amazing sound thanks to the Opus upgrades. Actually, we do light up the rears and have traction intervening quite often. Could pop that into, oh, nice, GT86. Could pop that up into a more dynamic setting. In fact, we've got the 9-stage AMG traction control toggle in the center, which I don't think I've ever used in this car. Normally that's for sliding around, and it's fantastic in the regular AMG GTR, but in here, more for different track setups, I suppose. So I'll pop it into sport handling mode. There we go. Still an individual, so soft suspension setup. So we're on the road with potholes after all. Gosh, the way this goes back and forth is lovely. What a lovely, lovely, lovely place to drive. I was about to say this is the other side of it with somebody not pulling in for a while, but thankfully he has, which is very, very kind. I hope people can see me, right-hand drive. At least a little benefit, right? Anyway, we are open and flowing again. And it's quite fun actually to see the photographers that line the sides of the street. So hopefully I'll be able to find some pics to buy of driving up and down here as well, which will be kind of cool. Reminds me of being at the Nürburgring. In fact, in many ways, both the undulations and the corners, but also the feel, the culture, the atmosphere, the random people we've been chatting with, the photographers that are around. Something interesting with this car though is how much the steering weightens up when you're going a little bit heavier through corners. You really feel it, like here for example, as we catch up with the next people. When you throw it in a little bit more, and I know it's not the fastest road in the world, it's a public road, etc., but still, it's really getting me quite excited to drive this car at COTA. Enthusiasts everywhere enjoying the road. I think we had a little slingshot followed by a Miata or an MX-5. God, that was quite the dip. But yes, we're again stuck behind the next car. Although most people, it has to be said, are really good at pulling in. When you drive up PCH, Pacific Coast Highway, which is one of the other, I would say, best roads in the US, even though there are signs that say slow vehicles use turnouts, nobody uses them. You're stuck behind somebody. Here, generally, the traffic is actually being quite nice and, pulling over to the side to let us make our way through. Bikes, Corvettes, yeah. This is quite a cool place. It's actually decently quiet. I think if we were here on a weekend, it would be a different story. Coming on a weekday was a good shout, especially at this time of year, because it's a bit quieter anyway. Welcome to North Carolina. So, we have swapped from Tennessee to North Carolina, just taking in everything around me, but basically, I think the fun continues. Down this side, this is US Highway 129, is basically this road. But yeah, not all that much changes. The thing that's surprising me is how good the tarmac is. Because I'm used to US roads being awful, to be honest. But this is pretty decent. I think this is where we're going to stop. At the Tapoco Lodge on the way down. What do we have in there? I'm sure there are going to be some cool vehicles around. But hopefully we can go grab ourselves some lunch. Look at this with the river down there. What a place to be. Oh, this is just lovely, and this is the perfect time of year to be here. Could not be better. Weekday in October, with the trees looking like this, with the sun out in force. So nice. I mean, look, Mustangs, Focus RS actually up there, 911s. Oh, Boxster Spider, lovely. 718 Spider, perfect. Okay, let's pull in, put behind me, go have a look around. We've had a wonderful lunch here. The GT500 that was there is actually gone. I wanted to have a better look at that, but unfortunately it's departed. We heard it while we were eating. But we're going to follow these guys for a little blast from here back over Tail of the Dragon before we continue. So let me jump in here. Off we go, behind the RS and the 718 Spider, which, considering I have a Heritage Mark III RS and had a GT4, which is the fixed roof version of the Spider, is actually quite fun to be driving in this. I just cannot get over how lucky we are with the timing, the weather, and everything. And this was such a nice place to stop on the drive. Like, truly recommend everybody who comes here, just come and have a chill here beside the river that you can see perhaps over my shoulder. It's really nice. Anyway, going this way, back over Tail of the Dragon. While we're this far away from home, we might as well drive it again, hey? Right, let's go have some fun. This is quite fun to have an impromptu cool car convoy up the hill back into Tennessee. I feel like we're crossing that border a few times today as we're now fully back, well, behind other traffic. But hopefully, and this really is the most impressive thing, the lane etiquette, hopefully people up ahead pull in at some point and let us snake on through. Although I tell you what, you do realize how wide a car like this is on a road like this. I mean, look at the Focus RS. We're a good 20 something centimeters wider than that, nearly a foot wider than that. And that takes up most of the lane. But yeah, in the sunshine, through the trees, in this snake of cars. This is a fairly famous corner. I recognize this immediately. This is where Adam came around from the other direction, and there was a truck in this lane that just pulled over there, and he completely blindly obviously came around here. Even if you were going like 20 miles per hour with somebody pulling across the road for that, there's nowhere you could go. So yeah, we don't want that to happen, but we are in a snake of cars at the moment, and it's really, really chilled. It's amazing how tight the corners are. Tight, technical, twisty, zigzagging back and forth. And a car like this is so wide for this tarmac. I feel like, obviously being right-hand drive and having a really wide central tunnel because of the transverse gearbox in the back here, and obviously the torque tube and everything that runs between, I feel like I'm positioning myself right out onto the outside edge, onto the white line, especially through a corner like this. Just running around on the leaves, basically. God, this is where you feel the G-forces, even at slow speeds. The exhaust is getting warm. The pops and bangs out of this are getting pretty crazy right now. While we're basically just cruising and kind of stuck in the traffic jam up the tail of the Dragon, I suppose this is the frustrating side of it, and we got super lucky going the other way to just have a clear run and have people pulling over, because I guess this is probably the more normal type of experience. But talking so much about Adam LZ, or Adam LZ, perhaps I should say. Oh, 718, I hope all is good there. Probably just gonna give chase from behind. Anyway, it'd be super cool to meet up at some point when we head back across the country in the new year over towards Florida, because Adam's compound is epic. The setup they have is so awesome, and maybe we could go shred some tires. Oh, nice. What's that? Shelby of some description. Looks like a beast. Yeah, it'd be lovely to go and see if we can do something. So maybe that's one to have on the horizon for now. I'm gonna keep enjoying as it opens up from time to time, and then we slow down again. It's a funny procedure. Just realized what this train is up ahead of us. They are test vehicles from Mercedes. There's a whole line of different Mercedes models with camo on the back of them. Obviously 5 or so cars ahead of us are quite hard to see in detail, but interesting. We're trying to enjoy in a Mercedes, and it's Mercedes cars slowing us down, for the time being at least. I say that, but there are other cars ahead of them. It's not just them. They're clearly testing some new bumpers or lights, maybe, like facelift models. Something like that. And it seems that there are even more behind us. Whole armies of Mercedes test cars. Whoa! There are like 10 of them. More than 10, 15, I don't know. There's a whole line of semi-camo Mercedes cars here. Corvette. We've all pulled in for a moment. I'm going to take a look at what's coming by. This line of Mercs, because all Alabama, of course the plant is in Tuscaloosa, but this is quite interesting. Loads of test cars. It's like endless runs, just one after another of GLE coupes and full-size GLEs. I mean, there's just more coming endlessly. Another one, and another one, and then another one. Oh yeah, they're numbered. Number 11, number 12. Oh, they're in order. Then number 13, then number 14, 15, and then 718. Wow, hilarious. That's that. Who knows? Who knows? Farewell to these guys then for now. Been a lot of fun driving with them, but I think they're all making their way out. It's all clear on the road. You've got to be super careful with this. Just seeing whether people are coming or not. Nice. Focus RS M2 C4S. Off they go. We've been stopping a few times, just having a chat with some of the photographers up here and seeing that people really do go back and forth multiple times through the day. But now we've got a completely empty run again in this direction, unlike earlier heading back the other way where it was significantly busier. And it's such a cool road. The way it just goes back and forth one way to the next, you don't necessarily even need to drive this flat out to enjoy it, because it's just fun going through all of the curves. You're barely ever pointing your wheels straight, just like tiny stretches like this, for example. As you then come in towards the next hairpin, drop it down a gear, point the front end in, around you go, enjoying the smooth tarmac. Look at this. Just back and forth, one way to the next. Now comes the interesting part. To continue from here, as you can tell, we've kind of gone backwards and forwards over the top a couple of times. But we're now on the road that heads south. The direct route from here to Nashville, where we're going, would actually be to go back behind us and around kind of a little bit north and around the Smokey Mountains that way, as opposed to this way. But in the spirit of exploration and to discover somewhere new, I've kind of forced my nav to a destination down in this direction to just kind of follow the road and see where it takes us. Slightly faster, more flowing roads and slightly different roads, but from checking Google Maps. And I get asked a lot how I pick my route plans, and it's often like this. I just load Google Maps, load up firstly the rough areas I want to go to, drag the route around between, and sometimes just drop in a street view and see what the road looks like to make sure I'm not going down a dirt track or single track road or something. And you often end up with something that looks a little bit like what we're looking at now and think, yeah, that'll be a good idea. Let's try it. Let's go that way. So that is exactly how I have kind of landed on this. Now, up to this point, we have driven across Tail of the Dragon 3 times, and we have escaped unscathed, which is exactly what we needed, because there are also tons of animals and things around here. Deer, bears, who knows what else. So, yeah, I kind of count myself lucky that we've had a lot of fun, had an amazing time driving through that bit, and it's all gone to plan, and now we have this kind of scenery. I mean, look up into the hills, the red trees everywhere at this time of year. It could not be more perfect for just enjoying a drive in this. So let's crack on, we'll see how this road develops. The road down to this side has been so much more of a cruise. It was basically longer sweeping turns. We're now on a dual carriageway, basically heading towards Chattanooga and then onwards towards Nashville. I think, talking about Chattanooga, that's where Goon Squad are based. It'd be really awesome to meet up with those guys at some point. Maybe we can see if we can set that up on the way back as well. Never actually spoken to them before. But to be honest, going to Tail of the Dragon, I was a little bit nervous with my experience of driving in the Dolomites, the Alps, the south of France, around the lakes in Italy, and so many other places, that in comparison with some of the European roads, it might have been a little bit overhyped, but thankfully that's not the case. That is a world-class driver's paradise. It's actually quite reminiscent to me of driving at the Nürburgring, because it's a road that doesn't really go anywhere. You'd only be there if you're there for Tail of the Dragon. So there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of automotive passion there. All the people I met and spoke with. I think we were lucky with the time of year and the weather, particularly today. You know, as the sun starts to go down, it has been a beautiful, beautiful day to drive. But just from everybody, like the GT3 RS driver at the very beginning, to the group of cars that we drove with briefly, and all the other people that we spoke to during the day. And to be honest, the etiquette was exceptional. The way that so many drivers kindly move over if they know that you want to drive faster, that's really cool to see, because often on these kind of roads you just get stuck behind people. And the one time we were stuck, it was a bit tedious, I'm not going to lie, but Tail of the Dragon is everything that I had hoped it was going to be. It is a glorious road to drive. The way that the tarmac just snakes back and forth, endlessly turning left and right as it goes across through the woodland with those views in this area where we're, I suppose, technically heading away from now, but it's just been a wonderful day. And with this low sunshine, reminds me, our sunglasses, last few pairs available, so do check those out if you're keen to grab some before they are all gone. For today though, to have this car here is epic. To be able to drive in places like Times Square, Tail of the Dragon, Circuit of the Americas coming up is just out of this world. But for today, thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the video. We did manage to escape, no issues. Onwards now to the next stop of this tour with the GT Black Series here in the United States. That's it for this time though, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!